On January 29, 2021, the Italian newspaper La Provincia covered the extremely bizarre story of how locals of the remote Italian town of Buggiolo had reported that a werewolf had wreaked havoc on their rooftops during the dead of night. Having discovered this rather strange news report, there was only one thing left to do: to go and see for ourselves and to bring you this unusual and interesting story. We're walking through the town of Buggiolo in search of the rooftops where the werewolf apparently leaped from one rooftop to another. So I'm not sure if we'll find the exact rooftop, but we have a couple of reference photographs to see if we can spot which rooftop it was.
It's quite a small village, only 160 people live here, so hopefully not too many rooftops to investigate.
What evidence did the locals actually have that there was a werewolf in their town?
There was quite a few footprints on the rooftop that no one should be able to access during the night. And there was those footprints through several rooftops, so not just the one, but 3 or 4 at least. And also broken branches that seem to have come out of nowhere, scattered on balconies. Where did those come from?
What kind of footprints were they?
Well, I saw on the newspaper La Provincia di Como that they were human footprints and shoeless human footprints, which is even weirder when you think it was end of January.
What's really interesting about this region is it's full of wolves. So never mind werewolves, it's actually full of real wolves. And not to say the werewolves aren't real. There's something like between 1,000 and 1,500 wolves around this region.
The first sighting of a wolf in the region dates from 2012. And there's been quite a lot of laws passed in Italy to really protect wolves. It's crazy to think that from one sighting to today, there's more than 1,000 wolves in the region.
Yeah, I think they were reintroduced on purpose in 2012. So that's a huge population growth. What's also interesting is the region is full of bears. So not just wolves, bears, also werewolves, maybe some witches, maybe some vampires, maybe some aliens. After searching through the meandering streets of Buggiolo, we finally came across the actual rooftop that appeared in La Provincia newspaper, one of the very houses that in January 2021 it is claimed a werewolf decided to practice its very own tap dancing routine.
Now imagine waking up in the middle of the night with some really horrible noise just above your roof. You know no one can get on the roof unless they are going through the attic. You also know that there is no ladder outside. What could it be? Then imagine the fright the next morning when you go out of your house to investigate and you see footprints left by bare feet on the top of your roof. And you also see some broken wood on the balcony and you don't know what has done it. There is no explanation, but it was a full moon. Now, that's a clue. Could it be a werewolf?
The only werewolf around this village is this dog.
Nothing to do with me.
What's strange with this werewolf story as well is that the footprints are like human footprints. How they jumped from that being a human to a werewolf, I don't know. The werewolf had no way of getting from one rooftop to the next because of the gap between buildings and the height of the buildings. I guess with all the wolves around and local legends, they quickly jumped to the idea that it was a werewolf. The first legend of a werewolf dates back to, was it thousands of years, isn't it?
Yeah, 2000 BC.
2000 BC in India, in some epic book that was written, I can't remember the name, can you? Gilgamesh. And it also features in Greek legends, the legend of the lichen, and also in Nordic legends as well. And of course, right up through medieval period, people were persecuted for being werewolves and executed, burnt alive, because they thought it was the only way to kill the werewolf was to burn it. So people were accused of grisly murders and they were blamed as being werewolves because people couldn't believe anything else other than a werewolf or a supernatural being could commit such grisly murders. It must have been quite the story in this little village in the remote Alps of northern Italy. Pretty funny in this day and age that such a story of a werewolf could make the news, and that people would, at least some people would probably believe it's possible that it was a werewolf. It's hard to know how tongue-in-cheek the story is, but it's reported pretty factually that it was indeed a werewolf suspected of jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Could werewolves exist? Was it aliens? Was it a drunk man climbing from roof to roof? Let us know in the comments. We're just looking at the paw prints in the snow, wondering could it be wolf prints, not werewolves, of course, but real wolves, because there's so many wolves around this region. So Scully, what's your take on this werewolf story? Do you think a werewolf actually visited here and jumped from rooftop to rooftop?
I think there is probably many an explanation that could be something other than a werewolf, but I love that in 2021 that was reported in the newspaper.
It's getting late and we're about to leave the town of Buggiolo. We're worried a werewolf might be about, and there's not many people out on the streets, so we don't want to be the only ones with a werewolf on the loose. So we're going to head off now. Please like and subscribe, and in comments on the video let us know your thoughts. It's freezing cold here in the town of Buggiolo, so we're out of here. Ciao.
Ciao.